Welcome to a year like no other. In 2024 and 2025, over 4 billion people, half the world's population, are heading to the polls. From the United States to India and across the European Union, the democratic process is under the microscope. But as we cast our ballots, a haunting question looms. Is democracy dying? We are witnessing a global shift where the very foundations of free and fair elections are being tested by technology, polarization, and a decline in institutional trust. Today, we dive deep into the data and the reality of global elections in crisis mode. This isn't just a political shift, it's a fundamental change in how humanity governs itself. Let's look at the numbers.
The data reveals a sobering trend. According to the VDEM Institute, democracy has regressed to levels not seen in 35 years. Today, a staggering 71% of the world's population lives in autocracies, up from 48% just a decade ago. We are seeing a transition from liberal democracies to electoral autocracies, where elections still happen, but the playing field is heavily tilted. Freedom House reports that global freedom has declined for 18 consecutive years. This isn't just a few countries slipping, it is a systemic global retreat. When more than 2/3 of humanity lives under restricted governance, the crisis mode isn't just a headline, it is the new reality.
In the tech sector, a new shadow hangs over the voting booth: generative AI. We've seen a 900% increase in AI-generated deepfakes and political disinformation over the last 2 years. These tools are no longer just for high-end state actors, they are cheap and accessible. From fake audio clips of candidates to hyper-realistic videos of non-existent events, the truth is becoming a matter of perspective. This reality apathy makes voters question everything, leading to lower engagement or worse, misplaced anger. As algorithms prioritize engagement over accuracy, the digital town square has become a minefield for the informed citizen trying to find objective truth. Democracy requires a shared reality, but polarization is tearing that fabric apart. In many major democracies, 75% of citizens now see the opposing party as a clear and present danger to the nation's future. This us versus them mentality means that compromise is viewed as betrayal. When political opponents are seen as enemies rather than neighbors, the democratic guardrails start to fail. We see this in the 9 out of 10 highly polarized nations where social trust has hit all-time lows. This environment makes it easier for extremist voices to gain traction as the middle ground vanishes and the extremes dictate the national conversation.
The retreat of democracy isn't limited to one continent. We are seeing backsliding in 42 countries simultaneously. In some regions, we see the executive aggrandizement, where leaders use legal means to dismantle the very systems that put them in power. This includes restricting the press, weakening the judiciary, and changing term limits. Whether it is the silencing of journalists in parts of Southeast Asia or the reorganization of courts in Eastern Europe, the pattern is consistent: a gradual erosion of checks and balances. These are not sudden coups. They are slow-motion dismantling of democratic norms by those within the system.
At the heart of the crisis is a collapse in trust. Currently, only 20% of the population in several major democracies says they trust their government to do what is right. When trust disappears, the legitimacy of elections is the first casualty. If voters don't believe the system is fair, they either stop participating or support radical alternatives. This trust deficit is fueled by a perception that institutions serve the elite rather than the public. Without a foundation of institutional integrity, the machinery of democracy, the courts, the media, and the voting booth cannot function effectively, leading to a cycle of cynicism and instability. Economics and politics are inseparable. The data shows that the bottom 50% of the global population holds less than 2% of the total wealth. This extreme inequality provides fertile ground for populist movements. When people feel the system is rigged against them financially, they are more likely to support strongman leaders who promise to burn the system down.
Populism often thrives by pointing to the elites as the cause of all economic woes. This connection between the 2% wealth share and political instability is a primary driver of the current democratic crisis, as the promise of economic security often outweighs the desire for democratic norms. Social media was once seen as a tool for liberation, but today it often acts as an echo chamber. 60% of voters now get their primary news from social media platforms, where algorithms prioritize outrage. These filter bubbles ensure that users only see information that confirms their existing biases, making cross-party dialogue nearly impossible. Big Tech's business model relies on keeping users on the platform, and nothing keeps people engaged like anger and fear. This has turned the public square into a series of isolated silos, where facts are secondary to tribal loyalty, further accelerating the crisis of democracy.
It is not all doom and gloom. Despite the pressures, we are seeing incredible signs of resilience. In several nations, youth turnout has hit record highs, with 80% of young voters participating in key local elections. Over 100 new civil society movements have emerged globally to protect voting rights and combat disinformation. From grassroots fact-checking organizations to massive peaceful protests for judicial independence, the democratic spirit is fighting back. People are not giving up on democracy. They are reinventing how to defend it. These movements show that while the system is under stress, the desire for self-determination remains a powerful force for change.
So, is democracy dying? The answer depends on us. Democracy is not a static state. It is a constant process that requires active maintenance. For the informed citizen, this means verifying information, engaging with different viewpoints, and demanding transparency from institutions. The global elections of 2024 and 2025 are a wake-up call. We must transition from being passive consumers of news to active participants in the democratic dialogue. By focusing on shared facts and local engagement, we can move the needle from crisis mode to renewal. The future of democracy isn't written in the stars. It is written in the ballots and the actions we take every day.